On the day that we launched the first op shop, an elder, Margaret Duncan, grabbed my arm, looked into my eyes and said, "Life is hard in remote communities, and things like this just don't happen here." Well, I'm here to tell you that it did happen. For the past decade, I've been living and working in some of the most remote parts of Australia. So remote, in fact, that I drive hundreds of kilometres on dirt roads between First Nations communities. I pull up in my four-wheel drive, I fire up the Starlink, and just like that, the office is open. It's a different office to most, but then again, I'm not like most. After a career working for global brands, I found myself in the Northern Territory, listening, learning, and facilitating the development of Indigenous business in partnership with remote First Nations communities with nothing more than a piece of butcher's paper. Welcome to the Remote OpShop Project. Now in its 9th year, the Remote OpShop Project is growing a network of op shops throughout remote Australia. The op shops do 3 important things. 1, they provide access to affordable clothing and household goods. 2, they are a platform for capacity building and small business training. And 3, they generate independent funding that is used to support community-identified cultural projects. The op shops are community-owned and led. They foster empowerment and self-determination. Now, I know these might sound like buzzwords to some people, so let me tell you a true story that took place in the Northern Territory. In 2016, I was living in Katherine when a group of women from the remote community of Jiltmingan gave me a call. The women were being forced to participate in a Work for the Dole program. They were required to turn up for 25 hours a week to perform work-like activities, otherwise their payments would be cut. These women were turning up day after day, but they were literally given nothing to do. Eventually they took matters into their own hands. They called me and they said, "We are creative women. We love to paint, weave and sew, and we do not want to sit here and waste our talents and gifts. We want to start our own art centre. We want to be able to fund that art centre." So out came the butcher's paper, and we started to map out all the ways that they could self-fund. And an op shop emerged because clothing is so hard to get in remote communities. So we put a call out on Facebook asking for a couple of boxes of clothing. That post went viral. Hundreds of people across Australia wanted to donate their pre-loved goods. We had storage sheds in every major city, hundreds of volunteers picking, packing boxes, and in the end, 700 boxes, which is 2 truckloads of clothing, arrived in Katherine. The women were overwhelmed by the support, but they opened their op shop, they sold about $10,000 worth of goods, they bought all their own art supplies, and then they formally incorporated their art centre. That is self-determination in action. And from one remote community to one idea on a piece of butcher's paper, we now have over 40 remote community op shops across the country, powered by 45,000 public donors. In the Kimberley alone, the op shops have been growing like wildfire. In the last 12 months, we've had 15 op shops open. They start off as smaller little pop-ups, so market stalls down the footy oval or in the front of someone's yard. But the women there are motivated, determined, and ready to scale. These women are just like you. They want the best for their families, but it's hard to get basic things like clothing, sheets, and towels. A towel that would cost you $3 in your local supermarket here can be as much as $30 in a remote community store. And while prices are high, incomes are as low as $300 a week, forcing a mother to choose between buying a towel and buying food. During the wet season, these communities become islands, cut off by flooding rivers. So for them, the op shops have become a lifeline. So here's how you can help. We don't need any more clothes, as you can see in these photos. What we do need, though, is to refurbish existing infrastructure, shipping containers and dongers that are sitting in these communities, and fit them out with shop fittings, hangers, clothing racks, storage containers. These are the tools that take a front yard marketplace and turn it into a functioning community-run enterprise. So $50 can buy us a bunch of hangers, $5,000 could buy us a whole set of shop fittings to put into these buildings, and $20,000 would enable us to be able to refit an entire shipping container into a functioning retail store. Every dollar that you give tonight helps to make that possible, from pop-up to permanent, from surviving to thriving. Remote OpShop Project is a simple idea to a complex problem in a very challenging environment. But after 9 years, we know that it works. But what keeps me awake at night is knowing that there's 150,000 First Nations people in remote Australia still living in poverty, while hundreds of thousands of usable goods are being burnt, buried, and sent offshore every year. This is insanity. So tonight, it's your chance to join us in creating a new story. One where First Nations people in remote Australia transition from intergenerational inequity to intergenerational opportunity. Thank you.